Hello, I'm Catrina.
And I'm MJ.
We're Two Cats Writing, and welcome back to the podcast. We're excited to have you.
We
We
sure are.
are we are talking about business today and how it doesn't matter whether you're a traditional author or a indie, you are in business for yourself. And we're going to talk about some of the impacts and our experiences with that as entrepreneurs as well as authors. And one of the things that I find wonderfully fascinating is you were saying that, and I kind of expected this was the case, but since I've never actually signed the contract, I wasn't confirmed. But you file as a sole proprietor, correct?
Yes. Tradition. You would. I'm sure that you all already assume that an indie author is going to be a sole proprietor and sole business owner, and obviously isn't collecting a W-2 from anywhere, isn't an employee, or at least not for the writing. And that is the same for traditional publishing. We are not employees of anyone. We're not employees of our publisher. We work under contract. So you are, in fact, a sole proprietor. You are, you own your own business as a writer. You are your business. So it is the same. Which wasn't really that much of a stretch for me, like all the work that I had been doing before I started being an author professionally was also being a sole proprietor. Like I've been working, it's been a long time since I worked as an employee for somebody. But yeah, that is in fact true if you are in traditional publishing.
I once when we were first talking about we doing a business topic, or we were initially discussing taxes, and while I'm sure we're going to touch on taxes, I thought it was more important to make sure that all of you are aware that you are in fact in business for yourself when you're negotiating your contracts, when you are getting your royalties. And it doesn't matter whether you're an indie or traditional, you have to keep that in mind in the decisions that you make. If you are in this business to earn a living, if you are just a hobbyist, if the only thing you care about is, oh, my book is out there, most of this podcast will probably not be for you, because keeping that in mind is nice. But for those of us who are trying to make a living, like I raised 2 children doing this, and most of MJ's creative careers have been independent
Yes.
of other people. And it's a process, but it's worth it if that's what you want to do. You just have to remember it's a business. I did not. The first, I'd say the first year, I had no comprehension, and I had to sit down when it was time to do my taxes for the first time. I went and talked to a tax advisor. And this is actually the first introduction to you're a business owner now, officially. And bear in mind, I've done independent businesses. I've sold Avon. I've done all sorts of weird things in my life. And some of them I will do a million times over because I enjoyed it. And other things, it is what it is. But this was the first year I had to file a Schedule C. At which point, at the time, they were talking about charging me through the nose. But that's a different discussion. We'll talk specifically taxes.
Yeah, we can have a whole conversation about Schedule Cs later. When we talk about taxes, we can talk about like the types of things that you can write off and so on and so forth. And how
it is important. But it is not important for this conversation.
Just know you will be filing a Schedule C if you are an author. I can at least say specific, definitely if you are a traditionally published author, you will be filing a Schedule C, and because that's how you're reporting your income, like everything your publisher pays you plus all your expenses, and Yeah, absolutely do that.
And that means you're going to have to keep track of those expenses, but you also
Mhm.
keep track of what you bring in. And there's a few really easy, cheap, free tools that I would strongly recommend you start using right from the beginning. A spreadsheet. You're going to make a very basic profit loss sheet. Ideally, you're not going to make the mistake I did where you keep your business and your home all under one bank account. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Just don't
it
do
is
that.
better to have a separate bank account for your business, for sure.
When you first get started, especially as an indie, it's very easy and very tempting to do that because you have to live off of that income. But when you're first getting started, you don't have much of that income to reinvest in the business. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to have enough to live off of, which was the mistake that I made to start with. When I kind of started getting the brain adjustment to, no, this is a business. And having run other businesses, I should have dud my way into that, stumbled my way into that reality, but I didn't. I needed somebody from the outside to tell me, no. But it really does change the way you look at what you're doing. And that's important as an author.
Well, and I would say, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go
Okay,
for it.
you can go on. Oh, I was just going to say that I think where probably maybe the two paths diverge slightly, and it's not like they even diverge. It's just that one has to think a little more about it than the other. As a traditionally published author, you you aren't going to have the same kind of expenses as you do as an indie author because you aren't paying anything to have your book published. Like nothing at all. Like absolutely nothing to have your book published. Like your expenses as a traditionally published author are just going to be like the tools you use to write and work, and if you're doing travel and things like that. You know, there are things that you certainly want to write off as an author, like expenses that you have, like your all of your utilities and well, not all of your utilities, but like your internet and your computer, like things that you use maybe partially for personal and partly for business, like those business things, the business percentage are important. However, you're not going to have the same kind of expenses. So there's a less time unless you get to a place where you want to do things like hire a publicist independently of your publisher, like pay for advertisement independently from your publisher. Unless you are doing those things, and I know a lot of traditionally published authors who do, most of the time you're not going to be investing back in your business in the same exact way as you would be as an indie author, where you are literally paying for things like your cover art and your editors and like all the people who work with you on your book, and if you're having physical copies printed, like everything that goes into that. That's where it's a little bit different between the two paths. I'll let you
It's,
go on
yeah.
from there.
But it's exactly that. It's still an expense. If you are traveling to do a book event like you're talking about doing, you need to track that. You need to keep that clear on a spreadsheet somewhere, because at the end of the month, end of the fiscal year, whatever you choose for your fiscal year, I personally run my businesses off of a January to December fiscal year because I
Yeah, I
have
do too.
ADHD.
A year is a year for me. It's all just a year.
I have I have worked with businesses and for businesses that have a an
A different
adjusted
fiscal
fiscal
year.
year,
Yeah.
and my brain struggles to keep that in line while I'm doing all the paperwork. I do not have to do all the paperwork for somebody else when I'm doing it for myself. So January to December, that's my fiscal year.
I
If I
also
pay
do
you,
cash accounting, not accrual, which also
yes.
keeps it simpler for my brain.
Yes.
And I think is the most appropriate for this type of business as well.
You, especially when you're getting started, you want to keep
Mhm.
everything simple. Could you do accrual? Sure, absolutely. But you want simple, and that will make your taxes as a sole proprietor so much easier to file. If you get to the point
Mhm.
where you have created an LLC, you can still file as an S corp, which makes it possible for you to basically be a sole proprietor with a protection.
Right.
And those are your simplest. You don't want to mess with the larger, more complicated business formats until you have one, recognized this is a business and are running it consistently, and two, that you are putting in the distinction in your efforts and tracking so that you're better organized when the time comes to expand into these larger, more complicated tax and business structures. And even
I
as a
oh
traditional, you might get to those
yeah.
larger business structures like MJ was talking about, where you're hiring other people besides your publisher.
Right. Right. There is a point where you may be wanting to invest in things to move your career along. There's even a point where you might need like a personal assistant or somebody like that. You know, like there
Mhm.
are points like that. I tend to think that if you're getting to the point where you're asking yourself, should I consider trying to file as trying to like form an S corp or something?
Mhm.
I think that's the time when you should also consider paying an accountant to do
Mhm.
your taxes with you. I so far have not done that, but I do see that as potentially being something on the horizon. Like right now, I do
Mhm.
my own taxes. I've been doing. Here we are talking about taxes, but it's still part of it. Um, uh, I've been doing my own taxes. I've been working as sole proprietor for a long time, so like I'm really familiar with filing Schedule Cs. So it wasn't
Mhm.
much of a strain for me to add that type of thing with as an author. Um,
Mhm.
and as a traditionally published author, you also want to keep track of. Not only are you keeping track of all your expenses for yourself and your taxes, but also there may be certain things that your publisher will reimburse you for, like certain travel expenses and things like that. Those will be
Mhm.
in your contract, and you can also talk to them about the details about that after even when you're contracted already.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure that you have everything really really clearly recorded.
Mhm.
I ADHD tip. So, executive function makes me really bad at keeping up with the organizational part of this if I have to do it on a regular basis. Like, I
Mhm.
always start the year thinking, I've got a spreadsheet. I've got a spreadsheet. I've got a
Mhm.
spreadsheet every year based on the previous year. And I just, make a copy of it and then fill it in with new numbers. I
Mhm.
always think I'm going to enter in all my receipts and enter in all my stuff monthly or
Mhm.
quarterly. You know what? I don't. I'm good at that for about a week going into the new year. And then I don't. And I get to the end of the year. But what saves me is having really clear ways of saving all these things in the same place, in the
Mhm.
same way. I've gotten to a place where I can get through all my expenses like in a day and
Mhm.
have that all done because they're, even if I haven't looked at them since I got the receipt, even if I haven't looked at a single thing, it's all right there in one place and like easy for me
Mhm.
to quickly go through and compile. So I have like in my email box, I have a place where I just every single time I get an email receipt, and it kind of helps that nowadays most things are an email receipt. Like I'm
Mhm.
mostly ordering things online or like buying things online or paying for things that give me a digital receipt. Even if I buy something in person, half the time I can get a digital receipt.
Mhm.
and I put it in my little receipts folder. I just drag it right over there every single time, and then at the end of the year, I grab all the ones from that whole year and put them in a folder for that year, and then the main receipts thing is just for whatever year I'm in now. And like finding ways to collect the information easily and put it all in one spot has saved me from the pain and guilt that comes with like just truly not being able to go and like balance my spreadsheet at the end of every month or every quarter or however you want to do it. Like it's just not happening for me. So that's just my little tip, you guys.
A very good one. I was going to say, for me, I know trying to do all the business numbers and the tracking, it kind of feels like processing mail, which is to say it ends up piling up on my to-do list until it gets in the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way I have simplified it for myself is I only really hold on to, unless there's a significant offline expense related to my author business. And usually the way I run my business, that's not the case. Most of my expenses are, my author expenses are online. So only thing I really report are my investments in marketing, my investments in software. So if I have a software program, for example, book covers require images. I do have a subscription to a stock photo site because I use those to play with to create the covers. So that becomes an annual fee. And this is going to seem silly, but I know how much it's going to cost me if I use it all year. So at the beginning, when I'm like really focused on, I'm going to get all this together, I will drop in the whole year's expected expense for that one thing on my expense sheet.
That's smart.
And then if for some reason I pause it, cancel it, change it, whatever, I make a note to go back and fix that. If I don't, because I put it in the whole year, when I sit back down again, whatever point that is, I'll be reminded that I'm no longer using X site, I'm using Y site, and then I update and I make that adjustment. But I try to do it for the whole block of time, because I know for a fact if I don't do it the whole block, I will forget something somewhere. I run into that a lot with my domains. Your domain is a piece of real estate online. You own that domain, you own a chunk of something. And if you don't build a building and use it, website, then you have to let it go. If you don't, it automatically renews at whatever price the domainer person set the price at, and you're just stuck with it for another period of time. So tracking when my domains come up is one of my biggest issues. I will have, and if I ever find one of my accounts overdrawn for some reason, I probably still have a domain linked to that account and I forgot what it was going to.
See, this is why I never do automatic renewals. I wait. I don't set anything up for automatic renewal. I just wait for the email telling me it's about to expire. And then I can go and make sure the account doesn't get overdrawn.
That whole, this is a piece of real estate thing got drilled into my brain right at the very beginning. So those are one of the few things I have an automatic renewal. I don't have very many things, but my domains, those are, because most of the domains I own, I actually own my name. My name is a very common name. I own myname.com. That is not something a whole lot of people can do with their name anywhere. And
I also have myname.com.
See, it's a beautiful thing.
Because I also have an unusual name.
I one time owned, one person in my family has a specifically intentionally unique name that is literally the only one in the country at that time. and I
Mm-hmm.
lost that one because I didn't get back and renew it right away.
Yeah.
I got the .net version, which is fine, but I want the .com. Only now the person who snatched it from me is a domain reseller.
Yeah, they want $1 million dollars. Or it might as well be $1 million dollars.
Exactly. And yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why my domains are all on
I
auto.
get that.
Because
I've lost a domain as well too that I kind of mourn to this day. It wasn't even one I was using that much. It was just like, but it was kind of important to me as a domain name, and I forgot to renew it. So yeah, I there is a point to having it auto renew like Catrina does, you guys.
But you have to know what your priorities are and whether or not that's the right choice for you. If you understand you're treating this like a business, are you going to get the results you're looking for out of it because you have? Or are you going to be creating an investment that you're not going to use? This is why I was saying with the domains, these are very important to me to have on hand and to have an auto renew because I know how to use them and how to get the most out of them. If you are randomly buying a domain and you're not going to build on it for some reason, or it's not going to be a benefit to your business, it's a waste and it becomes an expense that has no justification. You want a return on investment when you're investing. Otherwise, don't do it.
Well, and this is like, this is on the topic of like, definitely, it's on the topic of websites and running your career like a business. I always, whenever people talk about websites, I always think of an author, you know, a much more established author than I, but you know, someone whose name I've known in the like author community for a long time, Dahlia Adler, is always telling people, like almost to the point where I think she feels like a broken record. Authors, update your websites. Update your websites. And it's probably the kind of thing that indie authors remember to do more easily because you're literally selling your books there sometimes. And traditionally published authors are not usually selling their books like from their own website. Like we're not usually running our own store. However, we need to have like our stuff. We need to have our press kit on there. We need to have like our up-to-date information about what books are coming out. We need to have like that stuff has to be updated, and it's the kind of thing that a lot of authors is, you know, it's the last thing on their list when they're overwhelmed, they're on deadline, they've got so much going on. But update your websites, and I suppose like not letting your domain name expire is a pretty big part of that.
Yeah, not letting your domain is a big part, and yes, you should update it. And no, indies are not any better than traditionally published authors on the updates. I am running an author event at the library that I work at this month, and we have a list of local authors that have been through before. And besides the fact that we have a bunch of broken links, I have since had removed from the library website. We also have a bunch of authors that on their website, they look like they're back in 98 or worse. Like they created a GeoCities site or something and
I
called
almost
it a day.
spit out my coffee. That was so funny. and so true.
Oh my goodness. I am actually going to sit down with a couple of the authors who have signed up for the event this month. After the event, I'm going to sit down with all of them for about a half an hour, and I'm going to offer to build them an effective, useful website. And just do that because I know how important it is. And you've heard me talk about newsletters, and you guys have heard me talk about these are things that you absolutely 100% need on your website. And you need your press kit if you are going to be going out and connecting with people. I don't care if you're talking to your local news who only talk to local authors because they're so small or they're so just that focused or community centric or whatever. You still need a press kit. It doesn't have to be elaborate. I have a one sheet that I use for all of the marketing that includes the book cover and the list of the ISBNs, and it helps you track everything, and it keeps all of your whatever posts and descriptions and book stuff all on one sheet. It's a beautiful thing, and that works as a press kit.
I'm going to recommend some other things to have in the press kit too. Is having both a short bio and a long bio version. Like have your headshot, have whatever is your author preferred headshot, have at least 2 versions of your bio, and you can have more, like one that's very short, one that's like your longer one. I have 2 short ones, a standard and a long on mine. All your social media, all your covers, a download link for your covers, buy links for your books, and have all your ISBNs. Like for each book, you want to have like your cover, your ISBN, like all, and your buy links, and like anything that the press might be looking for, like real quickly as they're trying to put together something for you.
I created one sheet for every single book, and then I create a one sheet for every single series. And as somebody who only writes in series, obviously I do that quite a bit. And I tend to just give this away. So maybe you'll find it in the comments section of this video. It'll be linked below because I think it's important. And it's got all the information that MJ and I have already mentioned listed to be filled out. I explain in the one sheet sample what it needs to be and how to fill it out. So that are on the template, because it's so crucial. And then even if you do not have a way to put it as a PDF on your website, you could just link it as a Google Doc if you have to. It does not have to be this complicated process, but having all of your marketing stuff in one place as a business owner is one of the easiest things you can do if you do it along the way. So as you get your buy links or your pre-order links, if that's what you've got, and update it with a live here link or a universal link. And if you're not sure about how to get those, we'll talk about that kind of thing later. But all of this information should be there. You should have a long description for your book, like the thing that goes on the back of your book cover. But you also need the short one, and you need your what they call an elevator pitch. These things are what are quicks in social media. If they're already prepared, you're going to find those are going to be the easiest ones for somebody who's going to do a podcast with you to grab. If they don't have to go hunting for it because you kept the document up to date as you went along, you don't have to do a whole lot of footwork. And that's part of treating your business like a business. Your job is to make it easy for those who are going to discuss things with you to connect with you and to get the resources they need. If you're one of those people that have a special cover because you've got a 25-year edition or re-release package or a bundle or something, those covers should be on that one sheet. And that one sheet might literally span 2 sheets because you've added some extra stuff. But the point is, it's all in one spot. And that's the goal. And when you make it easier for people to support you, they're going to be happy to do so. If they have to go hunt this stuff down for you, they're not going to be as easy to work with because you're not making yourself as easy for them to work with. This is, I think, again, one of the things. Go ahead.
No, go on.
I was just gonna say this is part of treating it like a business. Being aware of these things and taking those steps is crucial.
And I was just going to add, like, I think if you're having trouble thinking about what all those things should be for yourself, like, it can help to just, like, put yourself in the other person's shoes. Like, imagine you are a press person, or imagine you're, like, running a podcast, or imagine whatever you're making the thing for, and think, what would I need to have? What would I want to have at my fingertips? And what would be really annoying to have to go look up? Because it's not even like people won't. It's just that if they have to think about like Googling it and like looking for things in a billion different places, it just makes their job a little harder. And so the more that you can make those people's jobs easier, the more time they can spend just like focusing on the stuff you want them to focus on, which is you and your work.
As we're talking, I will put a copy of my one sheet in the comments for sure, because the more I think about it, the more
Great idea.
I really, really feel like every author should have this for every book, for every series, for every interaction. Let's say you're getting ready to pitch. Let's say you're an author and you're getting ready to pitch to one of the studios. Let's say you're going to get your book turned into a script. You have everything in one spot. You don't have to go hunting for that stuff when that time comes. You're trying to write that pitch. You're not having to think about this when it's time to start your marketing push. Or if you're like a lot of indies, you're going to do a relaunch of your series at some point in the life of your series. And having all of that in one place and all of in your series one sheet, you will link your individual book one sheets. So even if you have a fresh new perspective on this kind of a tweet style post, and I say tweet style just because it's short and punchy and elevator pitchy and very succinct and attention getting. That's what I mean when I say tweet style. If you've got a new idea of that, but you had a really good idea 5 years ago when you first released the other book, or, whenever, you're able to have a running list of that stuff. And anybody you share this with, when the time comes, will be able to go back and say, oh, I really like what they said on this sheet versus what's on that sheet. So it's worth keeping track of, and it's worth keeping organized. And it's so much worth doing. And again, this goes back to keeping in your mind, you're running a business. These are the steps. This is part of the tracking thing that you need to do anyway. If you're spending money while you're getting your book formatted, you're going to put that on your expense sheet. But let's say you have learned to format your book. So that's not an expense. That's a time thing. But you're going to still want to keep track of that book has been finished. So that book now goes on your one sheet, the information that comes with that, and every step of the progress. If you formatted, you probably have an ISBN assigned, at least if you're taking the steps organized effectively. You have an ISBN assigned. So therefore, that ISBN that you've assigned in the formatting process is now on your one sheet. So you don't have to do it again. And so that when you go to upload the book to a website or a sales platform, you can just go to your one sheet instead of having to hunt down the Balker ISBN number. Tracking everything you're doing just makes sense from start, even as a traditionally published author. Just remember what you're tracking is different. And it makes all the sense in the world. Just initially start with the fact that you're in business from go. The mistakes that can be made. If I had one of my biggest regrets, especially once my books went to number one, is that I didn't treat it like a business. I don't know that I treated it like a hobby, but I didn't treat it like a business when I started. And I realized we've gone a long way for me to get to this story, I guess. But when I first started, I was more kind of like a rush to make money, and as silly as it sounds, but something like selling Avon. I realize a lot of people don't like the multi-level tiers for good reason, but Avon's got a name. Avon has a brand that people recognize. They always produce quality product. So they have something that's like Amazon. It's that front-facing something that people know and recognize. And so it was very, very easy to kind of do a rush for making a few dollars and not have the same discipline that you need when you're running your own business. And I realize that's a whole nother thing we'll get to some other time, I'm sure, but those are not the same as running your own business, although you do need to track similarly. it's still a rush for money when you're dealing and building off of somebody else's brand, which is what you do if you sell your books exclusively on Amazon. I, as people know, do that. I don't believe in putting everything in one spot. But that's just me, and each of us are going to be different in how we do that. What I am going to say is that you know, when I started and I didn't track everything and I didn't treat this like a business, I ran into the problem of money went right into the household and nothing went into expanding the business reach. Money went into little things that had I been tracking, I would have seen the result faster, instead of paying for boosts on posts that weren't going to get me anywhere on Facebook, instead of paying for untargeted, unplanned, unspecified things, which I did a lot of throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. If you're treating it like a business, you're going to do that with strategy, and I wasn't doing that. And that first year, I had a lot of generosity and kindness of others to get us through that first year, because I wasn't thinking of it right. And if I didn't have the kindness that I had around me, my family would have starved. And that, I wish that were an exaggeration, but it's not. And I don't want to see that for any of my fellow authors, because there's no such thing as a starving artist if you know how to approach what you're doing as a business and you put the effort into doing so. If that hopefully makes some sense. And I learned that the hard way.
It absolutely does.
And
I think,
I don't,
oh,
I was just gonna say, I just
continue.
don't want to see anybody else go through it. That's all.
Yeah. I think like, so yeah, the traditionally published journey is a little different in that there are some of those things that you are not going to be needing to track as much because you aren't deciding like independently where your book's going to be sold.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't, like, a lot of those things are being decided by your publisher. Even like, you know, you hope that your agent, that your agency is diligently going over your royalty statements, you know, like there's people looking out for you in certain ways, and there are things that are just simply not your job. Like obviously like deciding on like where your book's being sold. There are a lot of things that aren't your job as an author when you're in traditional publishing, but I think one of the things that people do struggle with sometimes, and this is kind of related, it's more like treating it as a job, is and understanding that the business part of it is a job, is especially, I'm learning this right now, like firsthand. I'm learning that like going into the launch of my debut, for instance, and this is going to be the case for any launch, like it's all new for me this first time, so it feels like maybe extra overwhelming. But all of these things are going to be a part of any book release where I have marketing tests to do, where I have people reaching out to me daily, asking me questions, like asking me, like needing specific information from me, needing plans from me, needing ideas from me. There's just so much coming at me, like going up to this launch of stuff that I need to deal with that isn't authoring, that, you know, that isn't writing books. And I think that we can sometimes struggle, like if you're not in a position where you're able to write full time and that's your full time job, and like you're just able to like schedule your whole day, like, you know, 8 hours a day as though you were going to work every day or more, to your job. Only your job is at your desk at home. We were like, okay, we know we have to set aside time for writing, right? We're used to that. We're used to the idea that we have to set aside specific time. We have to treat it as a job. If we want to get the work done, if we want to make our deadlines, we have to like set aside time for writing. You are also going to need to set aside time and reserve time and not feel guilty about using this time, this authory time, to do those tasks, to answer all those emails, to figure out all the answers to all those questions, to get all the information that you need to make the the Instagram posts that you need to make, which I just realized I need to make one today that I haven't made yet. And so as soon as we're done, I'm going to do that. Like that's part of your job too, and you're gonna need a lot of time for it. So set that time aside, and like set that chunk aside, and let yourself have that because it's necessary. And I think it's about time for us to start wrapping things up here.
It probably is. So I guess in summary, when it comes to treating your authoring business like a business, you want to make sure you're tracking everything that's coming in. You want to track everything that's going out. And you probably want to keep an eye on the things that are your what you're investing your time in and what's working. Make sure that whatever you are spending money on is giving you a return on investment. And if it's not, cut it out, shift gears. Make everything easy for those who are going to be working with you. That's where your one sheet, watch the comment section. I'll have it pinned a few minutes after this goes live, if not immediately. And if you're on one of the podcasting platforms, you can visit us at InExhaustible.Media or visit the YouTube channel, and you'll find the one sheet, which will have your bio, a spot format for you with your bio, with your book descriptions, with how should your social media posts look, your cover or covers if you're as complicated as some of us are. But totally worth it. And it'll help you with your tracking. It'll help you with your preparation. It'll help you when the time comes to build your website. And we will add websites to our list of business things to discuss.
We sure will. And stay tuned to Two Cats Writing. Hit the subscribe button right now if you haven't done so already. And look
free,
for
it's helpful.
some yeah. And look out for some future episodes on things like we'll go into more details about preparation for your taxes, and we'll go into more details about your websites and stuff like that. So look for that in future episodes, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.